With the NFL back, here's a few things that I want to actually give you to help prepare for the upcoming season. So I have a few resources that I use to help me find the best stats that can help analyze what are the best matchups, what are the best players to play in those matchups. And the first one that I want to share with you is actually called playerprofiler.com. Again, that's playerprofiler.com, and this is a really great tool. I love using it whenever I'm trying to decipher between certain players. And this website is free. They offer a paid service, but I've been using the free service for a couple of years now, and it is absolutely awesome. So not only do they provide information such as how well is a player as far as their productivity, but they also provide data such as their efficiency, how well are they in certain formations. So for example, if you're looking for information on a wide receiver, on whether or not they are effective in getting separation in particular coverages, whether it's zone and man, this website on their free version provides all that information for you. So that's a free one that I love to use. Another one that I love using as well is going to be the Fantasy Pros rankings. Now, the cool thing about this one, you can adjust your rankings according to the duration of how much you want to get the information for. So what I mean by that is, say for example, if you are trying to figure out how well has a player been doing over the last 3 weeks versus the last 6 weeks, so that way you can see if there's a trend of sustainability within their success or with how much of a slump they're in. This website is really awesome. Again, this is also provided within their free service. You will just go over to their main website, and then you go to the NFL tools area. You go to the weekly fantasy football leaders, and the cool thing about this is you can adjust it by season, and then you can also adjust it by duration. So if you're looking to see how well a player was doing through a particular stretch, this is a great resource. So for example, one of the things I was using in terms of my defense for Keenan Allen, if I ever wanted to draft him, is I would just essentially go over to the stretch where he was completely tearing it up. So for example, Keenan Allen from weeks number 12 through week 18, you can see that Keenan Allen was the wide receiver 3. That's nuts, because you see names such as Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, and then Keenan Allen is 3rd. This guy was tearing it up from weeks 12 through week 18. He had 15.9 points at week 12, 20.8, 21.2, 16.6, 21.4, 11.8, and 30.2 to end the season with an average of 19.7. He had 107.9 total fantasy points during that stretch, making him the wide receiver 3 during that duration, tied for wide receiver 2 on a points per game basis. And this tool is really great to be able to give you that stat. That way you can see those trends. That way at the end of the season, when you are analyzing rankings for the upcoming year, you can keep an eye on, okay, who finished strong, or who had a slow start and maybe got it going in the middle of the season, or what was a player doing prior to getting injured. So this is really good to really use that information to see and to really deep dive certain trends. Now, another one that I like using as well is called Pro Football Reference. Now, I love using this website because this website actually gives you team rankings, and it has a plethora of other information as well. And again, all this information is free. It's accessible to anybody. Granted, they have other features within their paid membership, but this is one that I love using. Again, free, so you don't have to worry about paying anything. And I love going to this part of the website. This goes over the defensive stats, and the reason why I like using it is because whenever I'm trying to figure out certain trends within certain players, or certain teams rather, I like to see, okay, what were the team defenses like during that specific season. So for example, last year, if you're looking to see among defenses that went up against the running back, you can actually filter it out by how many gave up the most fantasy points, how many gave up the most receptions, the most yards. It really goes in depth. So that way, if you're looking to make week 1 predictions, you can actually use this as a barometer. And they also provide weekly updates. So for example, right now I'm just referencing everything that happened last season because we obviously don't have anything for this upcoming season, but this is a great resourceful tool. So that way you can make some predictions throughout the season, so that way you can see certain trends. So for example, last season I would just see, okay, hey, you know what, if I see a running back going up against a pretty advantageous matchup, I would see, okay, let me look at the numbers, how the team that they're playing ranks. And from there, I would also see if I can just find any information that would help solidify the point that I'm trying to make. Now, this is a great resource if you're looking to see how well a team stacks up defensively and then how many fantasy points they actually give up. So I think this is a really cool tool that you can utilize throughout the entire season to really help you out. And then one that I'm going to give you that's a bonus tip. Now, this one is a paid one. So this one you do have to pay for, and it's called RotoViz. And the reason why I like using this tool specifically is because it does provide a lot of information, especially when it comes to analyzing in-game splits. Now, if you're not familiar with what in-game splits are, don't worry, I'm going to put you on game. So the way this works is that once you log in, you can access their tools that they have, and you can actually analyze how a player does whenever a specific player is on the field or when a specific player is off the field. Now, why would this tool be useful? The reason why it'll be useful is that, say for example, if you are analyzing, one hot take that we have right now is Alexander Mattison is currently going to be the RB1 for the Minnesota Vikings. For the past few seasons, it was Dalvin Cook, and there's so much talk about whether or not Alexander Mattison could be that guy that can take over that backfield. If you wanted to make a case for Alexander Mattison, this tool would be awesome to see how well he does as the RB1. So you would go to Alexander Mattison. So let me just type that in so knowing I have to take off. So Alexander Mattison, there he is. And then the stats that we're trying to measure is going to be, of course, for PPR, how many receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, receiving targets, receiving yards. Let's do rushing touchdowns, rushing yards, as well as rushing attempts. And this will give us our metrics that we're looking to track. And from there, we're going to put from 2000 and when did he come to the league? 2016, 2017. And then what you'll do is here, where it says split by variables, you can actually put here Dalvin Cook. So we can get the splits of how well he does with and without Dalvin Cook in the lineup. So now when we scroll down, we can see here, in 53 games, so there have been a total of 59 games that they've had together as teammates, 6 of which Alexander Mattison has played without Dalvin Cook in the lineup. And in those games, he's had an average of 20.38 fantasy points. And he's also averaged 3.83 receptions with about 4.5 targets in those games, with an average of 36 receptions for about 19.5 rushing attempts. And the yards total in that is 79.5. So you see here that in 6 games, he's been an RB1. And then you can actually look on the left side, we can see games with Dalvin Cook there. And from there, you can see that, of course, with Dalvin Cook being the RB1, he wasn't getting as much work, but he was effective when he was getting those opportunities. So again, RotoViz is a great opportunity for you to be able to find those in-depth stats. And again, I highly recommend it if you are looking to make a case and really sound smarter in fantasy football. So these are some great tools that will help you out. Thank you again for just checking this out. Hit that subscribe button, like that button as well. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. That way you are always up to date on all the fantasy football news and the information. That way you can also be prepared to have a successful upcoming season. I pray you all are doing well, and as always, keep it 100.